historical Cliff Park Golf Club, built in 1913, the first woman ever to design a golf course. The course was built by Addie R. Buchanan in 1913, who was a widow at the time, decided to put together this 9-hole facility when you weren't able to even play golf as a woman, let alone design a golf course. So let's take a look at this 9-hole, maybe first ever also experimental golf course.
He was on the greens chair in Augusta National, and you would see him out here when I was a kid with, like a little sprayer, spraying the greens with a fungicide and different fertilizers that he was a scientist, and he would invent fungicides and all this cool stuff in his house over there. And he'd come out to hole one and spray the greens with something. And as a kid, nobody knew what he was doing,
Wow, that's amazing.
That
is
neat.
Really cool. I would have never known that.
At Augusta, he would, come up here and take it and spray it on the
and
greens.
test it here, essentially.
Because he was a scientist and he liked that kind of stuff.
So like you mentioned, it was an experimental green, this one right here, for Augusta, which is kind of really cool. You wouldn't think that when you get here. Property here, a lot of history. 1913 it was built, right?
So Cliff Park, it was built in 1913. Andy Buchanan came from, I think it was Scotland. This is all on our website, cliffparkgolf.com. But, and built the golf course, as I was told by the family, similar to the one that she saw when she was a little child. And,
okay. And she was a widow, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
so she
awesome.
comes here, finds this property, her and her husband, and I think it's like 20,000 acres, I don't know exactly. Also known as the Delaware Water Gap National Recreation Area. Now, this beautiful property and builds a little lodge and for her guests, if you can take a look at that there.
Yeah, I did. That's impressive. That's a massive.
Back in her time, it was a wonderful property. A lot of political parties here, just a lot of really high-end events.
Because you had Shawnee not too far, so there's a lot of history.
Golf Resort's about 30 minutes away. That's actually a wonderful property, built, designed by A.W. Tillinghast. But so sometimes I think A.W. Tillinghast possibly would have came through Milford at that time and helped a little bit here. I'm not sure.
Do you know if she wrote out the blueprints and she was out here building? I know Frank Hyatt was helping out, the golfer. I read that.
Yeah, that's amazing. I didn't know you knew that.
I knew golf history. I like golf history. So
I guess so. Yeah. So pretty cool place. So it goes through a transition where Annie Buchanan has it. The Buchanan family has it. They take it over for years and years and years, and then all of a sudden. The family, they get a little older, the children leave, and they didn't want to be part of it. Harry Buchanan was the last one to have it.
Harry Buchanan.
And he was a member of Augusta.
Okay. Awesome. Wow.
He was also, he was on the greens chair in Augusta National, and you would see him out here when I was a kid with, like a little sprayer, spraying the greens with a fungicide and different fertilizers that he was a scientist, and he would invent fungicides and all this cool stuff in his house over there. And he'd come out to hole one and spray the greens with something. And as a kid, nobody knew what he was doing,
Wow, that's amazing. That is
neat.
Really cool. I would have never known that.
At Augusta, he would, come up here and take it and, and spray it on the greens.
And test it here, essentially.
Because he was a scientist and he liked that kind of stuff. So it's kind of neat.
That's cool.
Long story short, the kids don't, I don't think they really got involved too much, and they ended up selling it to the National Park Service. I mean, the truth is, I think they sold it to the Forestry Department for next to nothing. I think it was like $4 or $5 million for the Forestry Department had it first, and then the National Park Service took that over for them, and I'm not sure exactly how that was handled, but right now the National Park Service owns this property, and obviously all the way down to Shawnee. Something, I forget how many acres of property, but if you go over that cliff right there, hole 3 right there, and go up the hill, there's a trail that takes you to the cliffs, and you could overlook the whole entire Delaware Water Gap, the Delaware River. And
I saw that on the website too. They really recommend taking that hike up there. I've been wanting to get here for at least a few months. Once when I read that it was the first woman to design a golf course.
And it's really cool.
It's not a national landmark, right?
Correct.
Yeah, that's interesting.
But so long story short, the National Park Service take it over, and they lease it out through 2 or 3 leases, and they were successful. They opened up the hotel. They did a great job. They put a lot of money into the hotel, fixed it all up, and ran it as a little 9-hole bed and breakfast. Nothing they did wrong. They just kind of left. The first one, I remember he left because he went back to his family business. The second person, I think she was still wanting to get back home and kind of just said, hey, we're done here. And they left after the lease is up. And then it was abandoned. And for about 10 years, this place was abandoned. The grass was 10 foot high and nobody took care of it. there were two guys that managed it, you know, Nick Merrill and Mike Barbagallo. Those two guys would come here on their own time and cut the greens and, you know, keep it kind of alive. They had a lot of history here, and they really liked this property, those two guys. They did a wonderful job. And then I was a golf professional in New York and was commuting, and they said, hey, you ought to check out this golf course. I came over here and did all the paperwork and started leasing it about 12 years ago.
Wow, you got a beautiful piece of property. Slice of heaven.
So I leased it from the National Park Service. The story goes on because after 10 years, it was going great. We did a great job. The course, you could see, is in great shape for a 9-hole golf course that we charged $20 for. With a cart. We're trying to keep it, you know, we're trying to keep it inexpensive for everybody to enjoy. It's $20. Come in here, grab a cart, and go play. And it's affordable and it's fun. We kind of limit the dress code. It's not that big of a deal for us. And as a PGA golf professional, I feel like we get tied up with, you know, who can come here, who not. So we just let anybody come here. You know, we don't charge kids. We just keep it really light, and people love it. And the place is busy, you know, and we're doing well.
I've been wanting to get here for at least a few weeks now, and the season's coming to an end. I said I gotta get up here.
Yeah, that's great. So now it's turning a different page because my lease is done. And someone else that came in from Milford, he owns the Milford Chrysler and a few restaurants in town. Bill Rosato and the Milford Group, Milford Hospitality Group came in, and they won the lease. And I know them; they're great people. They're going to fix up the hotel, fix up the golf course better than it is now. Possibly do a lot of different things. I don't know exactly what it is, but they are committed to making this back into how it used to be, and reinvent it again. And it's so refreshing that that's happening. You know, I didn't have the capital to do that because it's a multi-million dollar project.
This is a massive facility.
He's one of those guys that comes from Milford, you know, and has the capital to do this, and really enjoys, you know, reinventing Milford again. The guy's doing a great job in Milford.
He grew up in the area. He wants to keep it.
He did. He moved away, but you know, so he is. I'm really looking forward to seeing what he does. He's, you know, I know him, and he's gonna do a great job. Everything he's done so far has been really nice. So
cool. I didn't know that side. You read, you know, you can't find too much information unless you start asking questions. That just
happened about a year ago. So I rent now the golf course from him, kind of work with him and for him, I guess.
Do you have a turf like degree or something?
No,
of course, it's sharp.
No, I'm a PGA golf pro. I went back to school for agronomy a little bit.
Okay.
I got a sprayer's license, stuff like that. But it's all kind of, you know, stuff that I've called other superintendents and said, hey, I got a disease here. What do I do? And they told me to spray something, and you know, I'd have to get a sprayer's license for spraying, you know, which I did, and we're just kind of plugging along, and that's it, you know.
Yeah, nice.
But the history of this place is really cool. I'm surprised there's not more written about it. You know, I'm a fan of the A.W. Tillinghast stuff. You know,
me too.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I love Tillinghast. That was So I went to Shawnee and then Water Gap. So I played that one too. That turned into a rehab recently.
That's right. Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot.
Yeah, so that I'm hoping that doesn't close because they turned 18.
But yeah, Shawnee has got so much history. 24 holes on an island, and you know the whole. You know, they've got so much history down there. And A.W. Tillinghast. So when you play hole 6 here, why I think did Tillinghast come here? If you know Tillinghast designs and all that stuff, hole 6 here is a dogleg left. That early in the 50s they changed, but early when it first opened, it wasn't a dogleg left. It went straight up the hill. So when you get to hole 6 and you make that turn to make the dogleg, look up the hill and you'll see a different kind of grass up there. It's really weird. It's called German bent grass, and I only know that because I knew Harry Buchanan before he passed away here designing this course. And the bent grass, it's just different grass up there. You'll see.
Interesting. Okay.
That he shipped over from Germany to check out. You know, it's kind of, he wanted to play with that grass. He, again, being a scientist, was interested in different kind of grass.
That is so cool to learn that part.
And not too many people know about that. I found that out only a few years ago from some old man that came here and worked for Harry as a superintendent. But so it's a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah, Joe, right? Joe.
Yeah,
Thank you again, Joe.
Yeah.
In 2003, the National Park Systems ended up buying the property. It was hundreds of acres in the purchase, and then this 55 acres of the golf course here was then leased. Yeah, walking in here, there's multiple different houses. Not even sure where to check in. There is a frost delay, but I'm excited to at least come out here, play a course that was built by the first woman to ever build a golf course. So that's really impressive, especially in 1913. We know golf design. I've never seen a woman's name really, outside of a few that I thought were a woman, and they ended up being a guy. Probably used to check in the clubhouse, a restaurant. It had it all at the time, but now hopefully it's still remains a golf course at bare minimum. The federal government coming in as a national park, it's been almost 22 years. I haven't seen any sign that says that this is a national landmark. It should be. The first woman to ever design a golf course. That's extremely impressive. There's a lot of engineering. There's a lot of planning ahead. I mean, the water drainage system out here is unlike any other. Designed around the golf course when she put it together. She wanted to maintain this golf course for quite some time. You don't see that many punch bowls, things that are going to start to pool up a lot of water. It flows very well through here.
See those rocks up there? Those rocks have been there for a long, long time. All the way out to long par 4, the longest par 4 in Pennsylvania. Way out there, they say. Hole 3, greens right there. You tee off back there, and hole 3 green right there. 4 tee boxes back there. Walkers leave their clubs right here, and they walk back there with the driver, and they head all the way to that one maple tree.
Yes,
to the left of that is the green.
Yes.
To the right of the green is the tee box up on that little plateau there.
Yep. Okay.
I've been there for honestly 80 years. Those steps, and you hit down to this red flag right there. A lot of the greens and tees are next to each other because built so long ago. Obviously, caddy program. They built the green, and like that's 9. This is 1. So. But after 5, 6 goes right there. That dead tree right there. Under that dead tree is the tee box, and it runs straight out 220 yards and make a turn 90 degrees left. When you make that turn, look up. There's a little driving range area we have there. Look up the hill. That's where you'll see it. You really identify the different grass after you hold play 7. 7 goes up the hill and down the hill. When you get to the peak of the 7th hill, the red tee box is right there. Look to the right. That's where that grass is, and you'll be able to tell.
German.
And there's a lot of undulation there. You're gonna go, what the hell in the middle of the fairway? They have all these hills. That was the green where those hills were.
Okay.
Don't tell anybody. I gotta put a sign out there for that. 8 and then 9 finishes right here.
Cool.
You goof around, you play.
And the course is named after the 900-foot cliff just in a walking distance or a hike away from the facility. This place really is a fortress, a massive facility. Obviously, this was the clubhouse / house where they were living at the time. Just used to be an old farm as well. She decided the farm wasn't doing too well to turn it into a golf course with the help of Frank Hyatt, who was a golfer at the time. But she really designed this course. She went out, she built the blueprints for the golf course, and we're seeing it. Just a beautiful day to come out and play. And it's amazing to think at one point horse and buggy was coming through those 2 pillars right there. This used to be the old track that would take you back into town. And that track that we just mentioned, it's rumored the first grounds crew superintendent's ghost used to walk back and forth. The course was extremely happening. It used to be a very popular inn. You got mobsters, you got celebrities, anyone that was from this area just coming through. With money, you had the speakeasy right here as well that's haunted. Been multiple rumors of ghosts walking through the fairways on this hole, number 1 here, because of the speakeasy. The hole right here where they used that experimental seeds for Augusta. So it's some history that you're not going to find online here with the Parfesta that we got from Joe. Let's see if we can knock this in. Now, Joe mentioned the stairs on number 2. This is one of the original foundations, 1910. It's pretty cool that it's still sitting here today. And kidding, you got to just aim left here and let it slope down. The longest par 4 in the state. I don't know what I was thinking, not hitting driver off the tee. I don't even have a shot at it. I am still on hole number 2. I'm walking on the green now. I almost fell. Definitely an extremely long par 4. See, the original tee box used to sit here, so they're getting a little smaller, but it's going to expand. There's new owners, as mentioned. And hopefully this turns into that bed and breakfast that everyone from New York City, Philadelphia is going to be headed to. All right, we're on the 3rd hole here. This is the one with the ghost and the This is the one with the original teaching professional. Apparently the ghost is supposed to still walk up and down here. Now Joe himself doesn't want to cut any part of that tree as a result of it. I don't know if I caught that part on camera, but he did mention that he's kind of leaving it alone out of respect, but it's affecting some of the green there. All right, hole number 4. It looks like it's a cut par 4, and then you got the tree in the middle. So I'm not sure. I'm hoping to try to get in front of that tree with. A little deceiving. That pine tree is not in the middle of the fairway. It's actually separating between that and the other hole. And then I like this part right here, this row of trees cutting through. So they definitely kept some of these older trees. These might have even been planted in the 1913. Again, on hole 5, you'll find remnants of that old course. Coming up to hole 6, where A.W. Tittinghass, although it's not confirmed, it's just rumored to at least, maybe have helped with this hole. It's got a lot of A.W. Tittinghass features on it. Wasn't that many courses open in the 1915, 1914, 1916. So I would suspect those golf designers coming through drove another 20 minutes to this facility. Why wouldn't you? There's a speakeasy there. There's probably a lot of celebrities that came through, and just to change it up, you're not going to be at the same golf course all the time. This is the hole Tillinghast is at least apparently supposed to help design. We're not 100% sure. It took me a second to start to realize it, but it would have been just a long par 5 up those hill right there, and there's the Great Hazard, the Tillinghast Hazard, the Tillinghast Great Hazard. You could see that would have been right over on the other side of that hazard, essentially. Behind a long par 5. That is now the driving range, so it's no longer the same layout that it is. These putting green surfaces on number 6, I can tell the difference. These are the German seeds that Joe mentioned. So let's take a look, see how they roll. Another par. So that would have been the hazard right there, and then over it, right on the other side, would have been the green on the original layout of this course that apparently Tittinghass would have helped touch, because this is one of his template holes. Back then, that was kind of a big talk of the town, and he was right down the street building Shawnee Inn. So he probably had something to do with that design here, helping the fellow golf designer build her first course. And it's funny, you just asked a few questions, you learn so much about the golf course itself. There's always one person at the course who's going to teach you a lot. And yeah, I learned that this was actually an experiment for Augusta, which is amazing. You can see a little bit different. I wouldn't have known the difference unless he said something, Joe. But it's cool to see that this was an experiment, almost a melting pot. Annie, who designed this golf course, she wasn't allowed to play on golf courses back then. For that, it was an actual farm that sat here, but after a couple bad seasons, she decided to turn it into a golf course. She had to have received help from other golf designers that were just interested in helping, and maybe the history just wasn't documented because she was a female designing a golf course, which they didn't even want females playing golf. Why build a golf course? So really cool history here. Lost history that needs to be highlighted. It's a shame that this is an historical landmark. There's new owners, but again, you're going to cost millions of dollars to update that facility. It's 3 floors, multiple bedrooms. It's a massive clubhouse, and hopefully one day I'll be staying there and playing golf here. And in 1912, the silent film Informer was actually filmed here, and that's pretty interesting. And that was with Walter Miller, who was an actor, and the other actress was Mary Pickford. And the design of this golf course, building this golf course, was total response of women not being able to play golf during this time period. At one point they were allowed to play, they were even in the Olympics, but we don't even see that history today until the Olympics starts to show it. When I get up there, I'll get a good look at it. Wow, look at this green here on number 7. Joe mentioned this on number 7, where they were trying different type of designs on the green here. Let's take a look. You gotta remember, this was 1913 when this was built. Look at this. This was beyond its time. I like the finishing hole here, ends up on the left. It's pretty challenging for a par 4. This is a hard little course. I will say it's difficult. It's more difficult than I thought.